You spoke before about the transformation of television. Do you think the definition of television has changed, and what is your definition of television?
Yeah, I love this question. You asked me that, I think 2 years ago, and I was like,
changing.
Wow, that's a really good question. I was like,
I keep asking it, and the answer is different.
I have no idea. I think it's being reinvented by the consumer. I think it's a really fascinating time. I think about, if you start your day at the gym and there's a television on your mobile phone, there's accessible to you. There's one on your tablet. There's one on the exercise bike or the treadmill. There's one up, hanging up in the gym. So I think the consumer is choosing what television is. They're choosing if they want to architect a mosaic of their own shows, or if they want to let the networks do that. They're choosing if they want how many different networks they want to consume media across, and they're choosing when they want to consume that media. So I think it's a really exciting time. I think what we're seeing is television isn't dead, it's being reinvented. And what I would add to that, most especially based on my insights from the study that we just completed, is the consumer is reinventing it.
Gayle, would you say that the role of traditional research is changing? Is it changing for the better? And what can those who have been traditional researchers for their career do to stay relevant?
Yeah, it's a really excellent question. I led research at General Mills for 18 years. I was there for 32 years. And I literally reinvented and restructured the department 5 times in 18 years. So I think that research on about a 3-year cycle needs to completely reinvent. And I think the departments, if they're not being reinvented by the leader, then right now the leaders are not being invited to stay. And I used to say that you can get the jobs, but you can't keep them to lead these large functional organizations. And I had it for the longest of, I think, anyone in the industry. But it takes getting out. That's why conferences like Rethink are so important. It takes knowing exactly what you stand for and where you're willing to compromise and where you're not willing to compromise. And it takes, I think, an ability to create bold change and be fearless. And when I left, when I retired, my CEO said, "Gayle, you were courageous," and I'm sure he took a lot of flack for it. On reflection, he watched me take flack the whole time. He was, it was probably well known. I didn't process it that way. I think I have often said researchers are you're either a hero or a goat. I remember getting first copy test, and the president of the ad agency hugged me, and I was like, wow, I love this job. That was the first and last time in 32 years that anybody from an ad agency hugged me for doing copy testing.
You may be the only one.
Yeah. So I think, though, it's a very, very important question to me, because I thought when I retired, I thought I would go out and do things in the community. And what I've done instead is I've put myself smack dab in the middle of this function, because I feel so passionately about representing the consumer at the decision table. And I say, we translate science into sales. And what I worry about with some of the traditional researchers not being able to be as successful as they have been in the past, I worry that the discipline of how to do a really great experiment may be leaving. I worry that the idea of doing a survey, what we would call a convenience sample survey on the internet, is considered to be just as valid and reliable by senior management as something that actually has been done with a much more sophisticated sampling frame and regimen. And we know what the differences are at the ARF from the research that we've done. I'm absolutely a stickler about methodologies and design, research design, because I was raised in the field of experimental design. So I think it's going to be so important for us to continue to find leaders that appreciate what good quality research really is. And it had its scientific underpinnings long before I entered this field. So it's a very good question. It's a little troublesome. I think that researchers have to be faster They have to be better listeners. And I really do think we have a whole track at our conference that's challenging conventional assumptions. I think it takes the kind of willingness to change to be able to step away from things that have been tried and true over the years and move toward things that maybe make people a little uncomfortable.
Gayle, there's been a lot of announcements about data initiatives across networks. There have also been a lot of studies on programmatic, looking at the duplication of data across data sets. There has been a call for a way of helping to standardize both the calculation of metrics and the deduplication of data sets. Some call for a JIC. There may be some other solutions to this. What are you seeing, and what would you recommend as a way to help standardize this for the industry?
Yeah, I mean, look, our platform at the ERF is collaborate, invest, and do. And the first thing is to get people together in a room and to start collaborating. And you need a starting point. And what I'm encouraging people to do, and I really do read the eyes of the audience when I speak, and I get really good resonance when I say, you don't have to choose everyone to be your partner, right? But choose some people that maybe they're your frenemies, but choose people that you respect that are doing like work, and get in a room together and talk about how you can work together. In my experiences, we've even had competitors. You know, pharma is a really great example. We had all the pharma companies said, we want to get together because no one understands what it's like to try to do work in a regulated industry. And so my experience at the ERF is when you get 2 or 3 partners together, they have a lot more in common than they even knew, but they needed to just sit down and start talking about it. And talk about, you know, one simple step, another simple step, another simple step. I've learned it's been the role of the ARF. We could declare, you know, this is my 3rd year. We declared these are things the industry needs to do, but I just decided a year ago I'm going to do it. I'm going to get people together and we're going to do it. And literally people said, and this is how advertising works study and these 3 major experiments that we conducted, we discovered that some people in the industry were like, Gayle, I never thought you could pull this off. But when we got it all together and then we put it under embargo, all these people wanted to come in under the embargo because they could see that we had actually had insights that they wanted access to. And so that we had a starting point. We got some smart people in the room. I was undeterred, and so I would really close with, you know, a statement and an invocation to be leaders. And, you know, leaders don't think they know everything. They don't have to be the smartest people in the room. They recognize they need to be the most influential, and they're out trying to learn. And so I think there's a lot to learn in this particular area.